I'm Victoria here at the New York Web 2.0 Expo, and next to me is standing Andy, and Andy is the expert for user experiences. Yes. And he just had a talk to share his knowledge and claim out the 7 most important things you have to do to create amazing user experiences for your customers. So share that with us.
Well, what I'm fascinated in is how other sort of organisations do user experience and customer service outside of the web. So my talk focuses a lot on how the games industry attract users and kind of seduce them, how hotels do, how shopping malls do. And so my talk essentially looks at things like the first impressions and the importance of first impression, of game-like interactions, and how you can encourage people to use your services by, making them play, giving them badges for rewards or leaderboards or points and things like that. So so that's the kind of the path of the talk that I was discussing today.
So tell me the 7 most important things.
Okay, well, like I say, so the first one I think is just create an amazing first impression. You've only got researchers said that you've only maybe got up to 50 milliseconds for people to kind of be able to make an initial decision on whether your site's good and attractive or bad. So
many sites seem to forget that.
Yeah, exactly. So really good design, really easy to understand, communicating the values through design instantly to users is massively important. So I think
that was number 1.
That was number 1. Number 2, I was looking at just making things as simple to use as possible. So usability. So remove the friction, remove the problems, remove the barriers. This is really, really common when you look at things like startups that have registration processes. Quite often they will ask for far too much information, or they will ask you to jump through lots of hoops, and that really just puts people off. So looking at ways of improving the usability, making the site as quick, easy and painless to use as possible. So that's number 2. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head now what they all were now. Number 3 was just enjoyment, just delight. So creating sites that are just fun to use. Sites that tempt, that excite, that kind of...
emotions.
Emotion, yeah, exactly.
Would you also recommend that for a bank?
Yes, actually. I mean, you've got to be sensible about how you do it, but one of the big problems on the web is that you need to kind of make some kind of human connection. Now, obviously, if it's a bank, you don't want to sound too silly or frivolous because you're dealing with their money, but you can still write in a human voice. So think about your copywriting, think about your messaging, think about how you communicate with your audience. I mean, in the UK, First Direct, it's a really well-known bank in the UK, have been doing a lot of stuff around bubbling up customers' opinions of them, sort of showing their kind of slightly sort of quirky side. So there are ways you can do this to kind of create an emotional bond. So yeah, bringing emotion and bringing personality and bringing humanity into the site.
Okay,
that's number 4.
Number 3, that was number 3.
Oh,
so
okay.
Now we're coming to number 4.
Yeah, it's actually only 5, not 7. So so almost
my fault.
No, that's cool. The other one was just game-like behaviour. So people enjoy things when they're playing. So again, collecting badges, collecting points, collecting cards, collecting friends on Facebook or LinkedIn. And so trying to look at ways of enabling this kind of game-like behaviour. And I think one of the classic examples is Gowalla, which is a new location-based service, where literally every time you go to a new location, you get given a badge. And it becomes really, really addictive because you want to collect sets, you want to finish trips and all these kind of things. One of the benefits of doing this, actually, it's not just frivolous, because all of these tools and techniques are ways of getting over problems with the user. So for instance, on a very new website that uses user-generated content, it starts with no content. And so you have to think of ways to encourage users to start entering new websites, entering new information, and giving them a pat on the back, giving them credibility amongst the users by giving them a badge, or giving them points or whatever, is a really good way of getting that initial kind of data.
So yeah, gaming is the new entertainment?
Well, I think gaming, as humans, we've always played games. We play games when we're kids. Our ancestors played games, and
so finally, even us adults can play again.
Yeah, and it's a really good way of breaking down those barriers. And it doesn't have to be frivolous. It can be fun. I mean, one of the examples I gave was a capture on the Zio website, whereas instead of writing in like this obfuscated text that often happens in captures, there's a game of noughts and crosses, and you play noughts and crosses, and it tells that you're human, not a robot, and it lets you in, and stuff like that. It's silly, but it's fun, and people care a lot more about what you're doing. So yeah.
Okay, that was number 4. And we're coming into number 5.
And then number 5 It's just kind of bringing it all together. So creating a holistic experience. So we're very, very quick just to think of little individual items and focus on the big picture. And actually, the details are really important. So I personally think that the big stuff is easy. It's the small things that get left out. It's the kind of customer service stuff. So focus on the details. So again, I was talking about how hotels focus on really good quality linen, really good quality toiletries, how places like Disneyland focus on just making each sort of separate zone in Disneyland a unique experience, and even down to designing the trash cans, making them perfect.
So showing your love for your customers by the little details?
Well, it's not so much showing your love as much as it's the details that really mean stuff to people. Everybody assumes that your website's going to function. Everybody assumes your website, you're going to be able to log in, you're going to be able to edit and stuff. But people get really frustrated when small things don't work, or people get really delighted when the small details have been taken care of. So I think to create a perfect experience, as they say, the devil is in the detail, the perfect details, and think more holistically about it.
Okay. And if we would now add 2 little more things to complete that 6 and 7, what will you think? What is like the biggest problem of major sites so far where startups could hint on? Like, what kind of chances do you see for startups to make a move in a more better user experience?
Well, actually, I think a lot of the interesting stuff that's happening is happening with startups. I mean, Doppler is a classic example with Doppler's toys and their end-of-year report. Xero is a startup for finance, but they're doing captures, like I said. Flickr is a gaming website. Facebook, essentially, you're collecting users and all these kind of things. So I think the startup scene is where people are actually have a little bit more ability to kind of play. But the trick is not just throwing these things in for pointless reasons. Think about the problems you have. It's all about thoughtful design. Think about the problems you have as a startup. Is it encouraging people to register? Is it encouraging people to enter content? And then create innovative ways of making it fun and interesting to do. So it's all about thoughtful design at the end of the day.
So 6 would be, don't be pointless in what kind of gaming or playful ads or user experiences you add on. And 7 could be, let's say, still be adventurous and try out. Huh?
Well, I think seduction is important. I think all too often we build stuff and then hope people will come along to the website and use it. And actually we've got to realise that we've got to seduce people in, we've got to tempt them in. And so you have to be you have to be seductive and you have to be persuasive. Okay. So use design as a tool to encourage people to sign up, to encourage people to engage with your product. So yeah, seduction is a separate talk that I'm doing at the moment, actually at the Event Apart conference in San Francisco in 2 weeks' time. Nice. So your audience can learn all about the fine art of web seduction in 2 weeks.
And you are also co-organizer of an event which is going to happen next year in London.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, actually, I organise 2 events in the UK. I organise one called Deconstruct in Brighton, which is quite a sort of large one-day conference, about 750 people. It's very focused on whatever the trending topics in technology are. We change the theme each year. Last year was about the future of interaction design, looking at touch-sensitive surfaces and mobile applications. The year before it was all about social web and how we can use psychology and persuasion to create social websites and the importance of looking at social objects and having people kind of communicate through the web. So each year it's different. This year, next year rather, is probably going to be more design focused, so back to basics, how to actually create really good designed interfaces. So that's Deconstruct in September, and the other conference I run is called UX London in London. It's a 3-day event with some of the kind of the biggest names in the user experience field. A lot of the people are talking at this conference. People like Jesse James Garrett, who are sort of big players. Some of the greats in the interaction world, and that's happening in May in London. And tickets go on sale from uxlondon.com, I think, on the 1st of December. So yeah, loads of stuff.
You see, you can meet this guy. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you very much.